And welcome into KC Sports Tonight, where no, do not adjust your television set, your phone, your computer, wherever you're watching. This is Jared Koller and Marleah Campbell on KC Sports Tonight. Yeah. For what seems like a while now, I've had B-list celebrities on this show. No
Gabe's
offense
right there.
to
Sorry,
our
Gabe.
guest. Yeah, listen. There's only two other people's picture on the slate there, and I'm happy to be joined by one of them because, hey, Marleah Campbell decided to work today.
Okay,
what are you doing?
all right.
And Marleah's done a great job with Chiefs training camp
thank
coverage in St. Joe, and now she's hanging out, I guess, late with us here.
Yeah.
Close
this
to the
feels
bedtime.
like midnight for me with the schedule I've been on this last month with training camp. Bright and early in St. Joe, been a lot of fun. Very hot out there today. Goodness.
So we might get some Marleah Unleashed takes, maybe,
Yeah. Way earlier than my usual alarm clock. But having a great time at camp. I'm sure we'll run through some of the big storylines coming up here.
Well, either way. Thanks for hanging out, Marleah. Thank you, viewers, for hanging out with us. We're talking Chiefs and Royals on this show with a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, the news of the day that we do want to mention is that, Nick Bolton, the star linebacker out of Mizzou, left today's training camp practice with a left elbow injury, and then wide receiver / running back Kadarius Toney also left practice with an ankle injury today. Now, they were carted up the field in St. Joe, but we don't know the severity. That doesn't mean that those are really serious injuries if they're carted up because, sometimes, you just don't want to walk up the hill.
It's a long walk up that hill.
We've all been there. So carted off sounds worse than it is, but either way, you don't want to see any injury, especially for somebody you're definitely counting on, Nick Bolton, and somebody who has an injury history in Kadarius Toney. So, Marleah, let's start with Bolton. How big of a deal is this if he has to miss any time?
So I hit the panic button when that happened at first because he caught it weird, kind of in between two people. And Bolton was at the podium earlier in camp, and someone asked him, what was the hardest part about last season? And he said, well, my entire left side wasn't working. Because if you remember, he hurt his elbow, he hurt his wrist, and he hurt his left ankle. So as soon as that happened and I looked over to the training tent and I saw them working on what it looked like his left forearm, I was like, oh, God, that's, not great. Good news, if you can call it that, given an injury happened. Andy Reid said in the post-practice press conference that it was a tweak. He said a couple guys kind of got nicked up. So just the verbiage he was using made it sound like it maybe wasn't as serious as it could have been. So he rode up in the front of the car, front of the cart. So fingers crossed it's a light thing. But again, I think once you look at the context of Nick Bolton's injury history and considering that was his left arm again,
but
you just want to
also
be cautious.
The context of the position group, right?
Yeah.
The linebacking core doesn't have Willie Gay anymore. Mm-hmm. They've got Drew Tranquill and Leo Chenal, but Marleah, after those three,
the drop-off's pretty significant.
Are you confident in any linebacker? I just think this is an example of how the Chiefs' defense, I think, this year can be really good, but they're probably thinner.
Yeah.
They don't have as much depth in the secondary. They don't have as much depth at linebacker. And if they lose Nick, even if Nick Bolton is back, in a couple weeks or whatever it is, if they lose him all during the regular season, if they lose Drew Tranquill or Leo Chenal, then I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, those losses hurt more than they did last year. And, Coach Reid was talked about that today because there's a number of guys on the defensive side of the ball that aren't practicing right now. Justin Reid. I guess both of them. Justin Watson with a foot injury. He's coming back. Yeah. But Justin Reid still hasn't practiced his training camp with a quad. Najee Johnson wasn't in full pads today. I mean, there's just a number of guys kind of in that top tier group, which presents opportunities for the backups that we will definitely, as we've seen every season, those guys end up coming into the play here. So they're getting reps early here at camp.
The good news of camp is that Jalen Watson did practice for the first time today. Not in full pads, but he was wearing a helmet back out there, so that means he's close to returning to 100%. Chris Jones was also at practice today, not 100%, wasn't doing the team drills, but he was back out there in some capacity, as was Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Hollywood Brown. So there are some positive spins there with the injury front, but the other one I mentioned, Kadarius Toney. Again, we don't know the severity of this, but last year, Kadarius Toney missed essentially all of training camp because he got hurt on the first day, and he's had injury issues.
One of the first reps.
Exactly, and he's had injury problems for his entire career, not to mention the on-the-field struggles last year. For a guy that's trying to make the team, or at least trying to climb his way up the wide receiver / running back depth chart, I don't think this is a positive sign for number 19 either.
No, definitely not. And you mentioned last season, he's been 19 out of 21 weeks last year on the injured list. We've said all training camp kind of in these discussions, either on the show or kind of in the media tent, if Kadarius Toney can stay healthy, he has a chance to have a good year. He's getting reps with the ones and twos. Maybe he's getting kind of more ingrained in this offense, and maybe things start clicking. But if you remember, the first word I said was if, and that's a pretty big if. So for Kadarius to already have an ankle injury is certainly not a great sign. But we'll see how the severity goes. Coach Reed was talking about this after practice, too. He said, look, you want to be out there for every one of these practices, especially during installs. And Kadarius Toney is a guy that just hasn't really been clicking with this offense. So every day he misses is, exponentially bad for him. There's a lot of talent in that wide receiver room. So hopefully he's back soon and is able to, get back to 100% quick.
And it's a wide receiver room that is has a lot of room to a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's also crowded in that there's a number of guys that theoretically are in the mix. Just running through again, if you haven't been at practice every day, it's I think Xavier Worthy, Rasheed Rice, and Hollywood Brown are the top three, followed by Justin Watson, Sky Moore, McCole Hardman, Justin Ross, Kadarius Toney, and Nico Remigio, who right now I think is on the roster.
Yep.
And depending on the preseason, he might have to play his way off the roster. So there's not a whole lot of proven guys after those first four. That's why I say there's room for growth. But it's not like if you just have a so-so average camp or you're banged up that you're going to make the team, because I don't think that's the case.
No, I think we're going to have a name or two cut that we're going to kind of gasp at and say, oh, my gosh, because there just aren't enough spots for how many guys you have there. And there's not a lot of I guess, gaps between that lower tier. I mean, it really is going to come down to camp. When you look at the top three guys, even top four if you add in Justin Watson there, because he's been a proven threat these last couple of years. Mm-hmm. After that, I mean, these guys are in a razor-thin battle, and, this is a position group that needs bolstering, so it will be interesting to see who separates themselves.
Yeah, they are. I think that's you're correct in that grouping, right? It's the top three, then almost Justin Watson in a group of himself, and then I think they're all in that same spot with different pros. McCole Hardman has the most experience, had the Super Bowl touchdown catch. And then Justin Ross maybe has a ceiling. Nico Remigio, I think, has been the best camp player. Sky Moore, the high draft pick. Mm-hmm. And so I think they'll have their pros and cons. And
Kadarius Toney, extremely athletic, but gosh, was he a thorn in the Chiefs' offensive side last season?
Yeah. So
and then you mentioned the injury threat as well. So
yeah. So I don't know what will determine who they go with, especially when it's later on that. Like, do you pick it based off special teams?
Yeah.
Or do you, kind of
kickoff role? That's huge.
Do you go someone more proven, or do you say, okay, if he's our seventh guy, we want that ceiling rather than reliability? I don't know. That's what this time of year is important to and important for, and we'll kind of see. Maybe it plays itself out with injuries or performance. But either way, today the first step with Kadarius Toney. So, Marleah, preseason fast approaching. August 10th, they kick off in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
The training camp will wrap up on August 15th, so that's not even that far away. And we're 36 days away from NFL season kickoff at Arrowhead against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday, September 5th. So with all that in mind, we're now that we have a decent amount of training camp behind us, what are your overall takeaways as someone who's seen practice up close and personal?
Yeah, we kind of just covered the wide receiver room, which is obviously one that a lot of eyes are on this training camp. The big position battle that you're going to hear about time and time again is left tackle between Kingsley Sumatraia, the rookie, and Wanya Morris, the second-year guy out of Oklahoma. So far, it's been Kingsley getting those first-team reps once the pads came on. They alternate a little bit, but vast majority it is Kingsley. Andy Reid said today he's comfortable with both of those guys. That's kind of a player's coach answer, right? But I think if you look strictly
Andy didn't go out there and say, if Wanya goes in there, we're screwed.
This is not going to be good. Yeah, of course not. And he played well last season in place of Donovan Smith. So the question is, who do you want to start? Who gets the bulk of those reps? And right now it's been Kingsley, the rookie, which is interesting on its own to see a guy go straight from BYU to, an offense with Patrick Mahomes. So that'll be interesting. That battle's been fun to watch, and those guys have really been going at it.
Yeah.
The other has been the cornerback position, because you have Trent McDuffie. Steve Spagnuolo said this. We know who our number one is. We don't really know a whole lot after that. Mm-hmm. The competition really opens up after that in replacement of L'Jarius Sneed, who Dave Merritt, do you remember this, Jared, when he called him, he said it's like replacing Michael Jordan. And then he backtracked and was like, I'm not calling L'Jarius Sneed Michael Jordan. But that said,
J.J. Picola compared Bobby Witt Jr. to Michael Jordan just yesterday.
A lot
some
of
MJ
Michael Jordan comparisons around here.
Well, I think that might be a little more apt, and it was in Chicago.
Sure.
But you're right, lofty.
Yeah. But no, that is a big loss. And it's kind of similar to that wide receiver group, the kind of bottom tier but probable to make the roster group that we were talking about there, maybe those 4 or 5 guys, where there's a lot of really talented guys in that cornerback room, a lot of young guys, but no one's really been stepping up, in Spags' words, and saying, I'm that guy, like making the clear answer.
Well, and maybe that's Jalen Watson. He just has been hurt. Could be as simple as that. And maybe Joshua Williams didn't take advantage of the time that he missed.
We'll see. He's been having a really good camp too. I think it's going to come down to those 2 guys. But again,
I'd throw Najee Johnson in there as well, who again continues to battle injury. But
because he had the knee tweak and then he had the hamstring. And
but
so
he's gotten some first-team reps.
Yeah.
But no, I think piggybacking on that, the storyline that I would say is the guys those corners are going up against, in the sense that not focusing on the wide receiver, but the overall mindset of the offense and how often we're seeing Patrick Mahomes throw the ball deep, which I'm not saying that's exactly the offense that we're going to see come the regular season, because I think training camp is the time to push it, experiment, be a little more risky. But I feel like compared to past years, we're still seeing more of a conscious effort to continually throw the ball deep to Xavier Worthy, a rookie, and I don't know if we saw that. I don't know if we saw Rashee Rice this active down the field as a rookie.
Yeah.
And Hollywood Brown, a newcomer, so that wasn't a guaranteed. Rashee Rice in his second year. I think the overall offense's aggressiveness is my top takeaway. Credit to the receivers, Mahomes, the fans for hyping him up. Credit to everybody.
Well, Andy Reid and Matt Nagy have both said, and Mahomes to that point, have all said that they want to emphasize the deep game this year. That's not new. I mean, you kind of hear that in the offseason.
But to see it with your own eyes, I think it's like, okay, this is different.
Big asterisk is I think you brought in MVS to be that deep threat. He was kind of that guy that that didn't really pan out. I mean, he did a lot of great things. He was good pass blocking down the field, but made a bunch of big catches in the postseason. But
clutch,
the bulk of the regular season, I mean, I'm having like a low light reel in my head of like all these opportunities that didn't pan out. And then you start losing confidence there. Bringing in Xavier Worthy is huge. I mean, Matt Nagy was asked too. There was a massive play where Mahomes fired, a billion miles downfield and landed with Worthy, and Nagy went crazy. And later he was like, I probably should have kept my emotions down, but like I was just
Wrong
excited.
Answer. No, I wanted. I
enjoyed
seeing the emotions. Yeah.
And same with Hollywood Brown being a veteran guy coming in. He's a deep threat. So you replace your quote unquote deep threat in MVS, who didn't really do a whole lot of that, with 2 guys who so far so good really look like they could bring that to this offense.
Yep. So Chiefs are back at it at training camp tomorrow. We, of course, will have continual live coverage in the mornings, and then we'll recap the day right here on KC Sports Tonight at 5:30. Today we also have a Royals game to recap that just finished in the last hour or two. The Kansas City Royals have won 12 out of their last 18 games, Marleah Campbell. How about the boys in blue?
How about Bobby Witt Jr.? What's he hitting right now?
A lot.
And
his July numbers are crazy, and today no exception, as the Royals beat the Chicago White Sox 10-3, completing a series sweep over Chicago. Now they are done playing the White Sox for the rest of the season, which is sad because the Royals did not lose more than they lost 1 total game to the White Sox this season. I think that was in a doubleheader too, so that kind of that's almost fluky because most doubleheaders are split. But today they win to push their record to 11 games over 500, Marleah. So continuing to push yourself above that 500 mark, I think, is strong, especially when you're getting to play bad teams. The headliners today, Salvador Perez, Freddie Fermin, and Bobby Witt Jr. all reached base 4 times each. 4 plus 4 plus 4 is...
12.
There we go.
Did you hear how slowly I said that? That started coming out of my mouth, and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. We are locked in. When you have 3 guys reach base 12 times, Marleah.
Keep me awake with the math
I think
questions.
I think that's a recipe for success when you're getting on base at that rate. And just like now, the Royals have a 2.5 game lead for a playoff spot. That is for the 3rd wild card spot, and they're tied with the Minnesota Twins for the 2nd spot. So really, Marleah, they're starting to build themselves a little bit of a buffer. And they're playing good baseball today. Brady Singer throws 7 innings. We saw Zach Irsay. We'll talk about the trades coming up here, but today was a really important win to take care of business in Chicago.
Yeah, by the way, I did look it up while you were talking. Bobby Witt Jr. before today was batting a .545 since the All-Star break, which is just unbelievable. So much for the home run derby curse. He's doing pretty well.
that was dumb.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, it's great to see. This is what you want to see coming out of the All-Star break, get a little surge going here, and maybe create some separation because, gosh, what day is it? July 31st. We're almost to August. 2 months away from October. We're still talking about the Royals. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're worth talking about because they're playing well. Yes, Bobby Witt Jr. is the headliner. He's the king of the Royals right now, but his soldiers aren't awful. Like, this isn't like the same team last year and just Bobby Witt Jr. is Michael Jordan. No, other guys are playing well. Freddie Fermin and Salvador Perez played well today. The pitchers, the starting pitchers especially, are playing well, but other guys are doing solid work. Vinny Pasquantino hit a nice home run today, drove in some runs. Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez had RBIs. Bobby Witt Jr. is the superstar. He's the Patrick Mahomes. But the rest of the lineup over this stretch of 18 games, I think, is probably better than some people realize right now because I think they're just looking at how great Bobby Witt Jr. is, which he is, but I think it's still a little bit of a team effort.
So I've been out at camp all day. So, Jared, you and I haven't even got a chance to really chat that much about the news of the day. I want your take on Alec Marsh getting optioned down to Omaha because we were talking about that training camp. We kind of all got the alerts on our phone, and we were like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a good segue into our trade talk because Alec Marsh did get sent to Omaha for the first time here. He started the season as the number 5 starter. But they do it to make room for Michael Lorenzen, who will start on Saturday, filling his spot in the rotation. The Royals traded him for Walter Pennington from the Texas Rangers. And just to run through it, the other trades over the last week, 3 this week, are Lucas Irsay from the Oakland A's, Paul DeJong from the Chicago White Sox, who just walked across the dugout, and Hunter Harvey was the one that went back about 2 weeks ago from the Washington Nationals. Harvey, they give up Caden Wallace, the third base prospect, and the number 39 overall draft pick for this year. Paul DeJong, they give up kind of a flyer bullpen arm in low A. And Lucas Irsay, though, is the big trade because they give up Mason Barnett, Jared Dickey, and Will Klein, while designating John McMillan for assignment, optioning Nick Lofton to AAA. So that is the one that moves the needle the most. And to make room for him on the roster, because Irsay made his debut today, was Alec Marsh going to AAA. No. I'm kind of waiting to see how this plays out before I have my opinion. If Marsh goes down for just a little bit and he comes back as a bullpen arm, or if they give a few starts to others, then they bring Marsh back into the rotation to give someone else a breather, I'm okay with that. I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know if I probably would have just moved Marsh to the bullpen and the bigs right away, but I'm okay with this, putting a pin into it to seeing how this changes in a week or 2 or 3. Yeah,
well, and I think, the front office has certainly bolstered the city's confidence over the last 365 days or so, maybe a little bit less than that. But they had a heck of an off season, and so I'll be curious how these pan out.
It's funny you say that. It's pretty much, if you go back to, let's see, what was Saturday? It was a year ago, Saturday, so the 27th. The Royals, since July 27th, now, let's see, 84 and 81, are 87 and 81. Since July 27th, okay? So that's not just like, they started winning in...
Oh, I see where you're going there.
Right, in April. Yep. In August and September last year, they were a 500 team.
Right. It just didn't matter at that point.
Right, and so and we were like, just another year. But now we can look at it as, and that's why if for whatever reason you're still on the fence saying, the Royals really aren't that good, well, now it's not just a month or two. They've been... and 6 games above 500 for the last 165 games.
Yeah. I like that. I didn't think about it that way.
And what's funny is what started that was Bobby Witt Jr.'s walk-off grand slam on Johan Duran, the 102-mile-an-hour fastball that he turned.
Which day was it this weekend that he hit that grand slam?
Yeah, on Monday. So only 2 days later. But no, it was a great parallel, and that was the performance that got J.J. Picola to compare Bobby Witt Jr. to Michael Jordan. Yep. He hit a game-winning grand slam, or go-ahead grand slam that was eventually game-winning in the 8th, and then he had 2 just gold glove plays at shortstop in the 9th inning. But again, back to the point that I said earlier, Marleah, Bobby Witt Jr. There's a headline in hitting a game-winning grand slam. But the Royals entered the 8th inning down 5-2. MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe hit back-to-back home runs to make it 8-4, and then Maikel Garcia, Adam Frazier, and Michael Massey loaded the bases to set up the go-ahead grand slam. The Royals weren't down 5-2. Bobby Witt Jr. did a thing, and suddenly they won. No,
Yeah.
other guys did less cool things, did less impressive things, but they still did things to help the Royals win. So.
Yeah, well, you have to have your supporting cast, right? I mean, translated to the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes isn't Patrick Mahomes without his weapons around him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. But as for, I think the big news, because yesterday was the trade deadline, Marleah, and they could have stayed put, they could have sold, they could have bought more. When you look at these 4 additions, let's actually first start with Lucas Irsay, because I think, do you agree that he's easily the headliner?
Yeah.
And I guess what do you make of what he brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good move. Anytime you can bolster that position, when you look at how the Chiefs, excuse me, I'm stuck in training camp mode. How the Royals have been faring the last couple weeks. I think this is the time of year you want to bolster your pitching group and power into October. So I like it. It'll be fun to watch these guys over the next couple days, couple weeks, and see how these moves pan out.
Okay. Odd anecdote for both Irsay and Lorenzen. They both were drafted as hitters. Irsay was actually a hitting prospect as early as, I believe, 2021. Like, he's only been pitching for, I think, 3+ years. So his arm doesn't have a whole lot of mileage on it. Marleah, the thing that I continue to reiterate about Irsay is that he has 5 years of control after this year. So this trade was, yes, about bolstering the bullpen right now, but this is a guy that I think the Royals hope will be in their bullpen for at least a handful of couple of years, and then if you trade him, and listen, bullpen arms, it's hard to stay in a bullpen for 5 years. That's pretty rare because guys get hurt or you trade. But he's got a lot of service time left, and the fact that the Royals did not – I don't know if you agree. I don't think that Mason Barnett, Jared Dickey, or Will Klein were in their top probably 9 prospects.
Yep.
I think the highest MLB had Barnett was 7. The lowest was like 11. Either way, I don't think Mason Barnett's going to be a future All-Star. So for them to get 5 years of someone with closer-level stuff, and you don't give up a potential star, really,
bargain.
I really like that move. Again, those 3 that they gave away, I think, will be big leaguers potentially. But this bullpen needs help. I don't know who the closer is, Marleah. We saw Sam Long get a save last night in a 1-run game. Irsay pitched well in the 8th today. MacArthur got the save on Monday. You've got Hunter Harvey, too. Is it asking too much for a guy in his second year, his first time ever playing meaningful baseball, for Lucas Irsay to be the Royals closer in a pennant chase? That's tough, but I don't know. I think that's going forward over these next handful of games, how the bullpen hierarchy shakes out.
Yeah, it'll be a fun couple weeks.
Yeah, now that you've got dudes, you've got options. You got Chris Bubich.
In the words of Jerome Tang himself, you got dudes.
There you go. Yeah, so I don't know how. That's a good Jerome Tang comparison because Jerome Tang, like, I don't know if you've got Jerome Tang level of, like, dudes in the bullpen.
Dudes, yeah.
Like, I mean, you've got, like,
dudes.
Lowercase dudes.
Yeah.
You've got some dudes that maybe might be dudes.
The sad thing is I, really hear the difference between what you're saying.
Yeah. So they have arms that could be dudes, and I don't know if a month ago we were saying that because they were struggling a little bit more depth-wise, and this pushes other guys down. But I think that is easily the biggest storyline to follow in the next couple months because I think that's the difference between the Royals making the playoffs and not. I said they've won 12 of the last 18. I would say probably half their losses have been because of the bullpen.
Yeah. Alec Marsh had a tough one the other – or not Alec Marsh.
Yeah, James MacArthur was the one he had 2 bad at. One he blew, another one he didn't really keep him in it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a solid trade deadline because you add 3 arms, 2 in the bullpen. Maybe Lorenzen eventually goes to the bullpen or maybe Alec Marsh goes to the bullpen. So overall you might have 3 arms, adding with Chris Bubich. There's 4 bullpen arms, Marleah, that you didn't have a month ago. I think that's what they need to do. They didn't give up a whole lot. And, man, I'm excited for the next – it's officially playing baseball on August 1st.
Yep.
The Royals have a playoff spot. And Marleah, they lost 106 games last year, so
yeah.
If that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. All right, that'll do it for today's KC Sports Night stream. We'll be back here again tomorrow and on the weekends at 10:30 on Saturday and Sunday. So for Marleah Campbell, who's going to go home and sleep well tonight,
yeah.
I'm Jared Koller, James Shields, salute, and we'll see you back here